Hello everybody, let's talk about diminished 7th chord functions, and this is the first function of diminished 7th chord. It can act as a substitution for 5-7 flat 9 chord in either major or minor. Let's take a look at G7 flat 9 again. So we have these chord tones, right? G, B, D, F, your chord tones, and then you have A flat, which is your flat 9 tension. If you take a look at the top 4 notes and pretend that B is the root, you have B as your root, D as your flat 3, F as your flat 5, A flat as your double flat 7. What is that? Okay, a B diminished 7th. Okay, so the upper 4 notes is actually a diminished 7th chord. So you can think of G7 flat 9 from now on as a B diminished 7th chord with a G bass, okay? Okay? And from the previous video, we learned that if we have a B diminished 7th, we can also call it a D diminished 7, F diminished 7, and A flat diminished 7, and they would be all equal to each other in terms of chord tones, okay? And from this, we learned that the diminished 7th chord, the B diminished 7th chord, is almost like a G7 flat 9 chord, okay? So next time you see a G7 flat 9 going into a C major 7, C minor 7, or even a C 7th, you can actually harmonize it as, or I should say reharmonize that as a B diminished 7 going into a C, let's say minor 7, okay? For the very simple reason that the B diminished 7 chord is almost a G7 flat 9 chord. The only difference is that it doesn't have the G. So instead of having G going up to the C, which is the root of the C minor 7 or C major 7 or C dominant 7, you have this B resolving up a half step to C, which bring me to the next point. The diminished 7th chord must contain the leading tone, which is the major 7th. So I'm going to write capital M here, major 7th of one chord. So in this case, a G 7th flat 9 going into, say, C minor 7. If you reharmonize that as B diminished 7 to C minor 7, the B diminished chord here, the diminished chord here, must contain B, so which is the major 7th of C, okay? For it, this chord to be a substitution for G7 flat 9, okay? Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to fulfill the function as a substitution for 5-7 flat 9. It must contain the note B, and we prefer it to go in this manner, to resolve in this manner, from B up a half step to C, okay? So let's take a look. So G7 flat 9, so okay, that's your G7 flat 9. If I omit the root, that's our B diminished 7th chord. So B, D, F, and then A flat. Okay, and then we can resolve this chord to, say, C minor. And it works because the B is actually a leading tone of C minor scale, or the C minor 7th chord, which is one chord, okay? So one more time. It's actually a G7 flat 9 sound. So in a band situation, if you are a guitar player, if you have the bass pumping the G, you don't have to play the G to produce a G7 flat 9 sound. And if you're in a resolving situation, you can always use this substitution in lieu of a regular G7 sound or G7 flat 9 even, okay? You can just hit the diminished chord here and do it like that, as long as you're in the situation, okay? So it is a substitution. So the band could still be going in this, manner. So do, and then the guitar player could be doing something like this. Okay, cool. Hopefully everything makes sense. Again, for a 5-7 flat 9 substitution to work, using a beat diminished 7th chord, it has to have the leading tone of one chord, okay? In any case, if you're not sure, just, write out all the chord tones and check. Okay, hopefully everything makes sense, okay? And I'll see you in the next video.